One man who may not have his song sung at Old Trafford for much longer is Cristiano Ronaldo, because yesterday it came out. It's quite a big story, this, wasn't it? You know, the fact that he decided that he's decided to leak the information out to as many people as possible, that he has decided he wants to leave for a Champions League club. There's no denial from him that happened. And Manchester United certainly didn't butt it back yesterday. They just said he's not for sale and that they want him to stay and fully expect him to do so. But it is huge for Erik ten Hag, because I suppose there's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? There's actually, it gives him the clean slate to rebuild Manchester United in his own image, and he doesn't have to worry about a superstar who's going to take a lot of attention and, I suppose, a lot of brain power and manpower over the course of the next year. Or there's the other one, which is you're losing one of your best players.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's a question of losing someone who might be an ego, because I do think obviously he's got a massive ego, but I think you want to learn from Ronaldo, and he's already said that he was surprised that he went into the dressing room and how unprofessional the sort of players were, and I think it might even have said that the English players were. If Ronaldo came into
the young English players,
exactly. If Ronaldo comes into my dressing room in the way that, say, Hullet did or Zola did, I'm asking them questions all the time. I'm watching them, how they train, how they look after themselves, and he has kind of polarised it a bit, because I think there will be some United fans saying, it's not necessarily a problem if he goes, because I think Ten Hag will then be able to reset on his style, his philosophy of how he wants to play. If he wants to do the pressing from the front, then we know that perhaps Ronaldo's not the ideal person to do that. I'm of the other camp saying, look, he scored, 18 Premier League goals this season just gone. Third top scorer.
24 goals in 38 games in all competitions.
There you go. And people say, yeah, but he doesn't do this. He doesn't. Well, he does the most important thing still, and I stick the ball in the back of the net. And, we can come on to Chelsea later on or any other time, but suddenly my ears are getting pricked up if I'm Chelsea. And I think there was a meeting anyway, wasn't there, with George Mendes and
there was
Todd Bowley.
A meeting between Todd Bowley and George Mendes, but also it looks as if he's been spoken to by Bayern Munich as well. He obviously feels as if he's got something to offer for a team that can compete for major titles. And
you don't let out that information unless you think you've got a very interested club.
Yeah, and you've got a chance of making the move happen.
Of it happening, absolutely. Now, interesting what Ten Hag thinks, because, would Ten Hag, and in his press conference, he did actually say he scores goals. What does Ronaldo bring? Goals. And that's actually ultimately what you want to do. But if he does want to have a clean slate, as you talked about, then it is a great opportunity to do that. Get as much money as you possibly can, which they probably still can, even though he's, 37 and a year left on his contract. But I think it'd be a big blow for United. I really do. I think he was one of the very few plus points of what was a shocking season for United.
It's becoming a difficult summer for Manchester United, bearing in mind that United had expected to wrap up a deal for Frankie de Jong over the next couple of days. However, in the last hour or so, Juan Laporta, the president of Barcelona, has said basically that he's going to do everything in his power to keep Frankie de Jong at the Camp Nou, and he's actually saying he's not for sale. Now, is that a negotiating tactic, do you think, to drive the price up?
Because I thought they'd agreed a price.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I thought they'd agreed a price previously.
Yeah.
So where has this intervention come from?
Well, you were talking about this, and it's quite complicated, about the financial aspect of wages, and
basically there's restrictions on them in terms of how much they can spend on wages and transfer fees, because they're in such financial peril. There was a new deal done with the league earlier in the year. They're trying to juggle that sort of element of financial restriction. They've sold off some of their marketing rights.
Yeah.
I think it's 49% of their marketing rights, which covers the next few years of shirt sales, and there's a deal to be done over TV rights as well. I think 25% of their TV rights has now gone to an independent arbiter, so they're getting money up front for things in the future. But that's sort of almost sort of like trying to plug a hole that's already leaking. Absolutely. Isn't it? It's very difficult to do. So they're obviously in financial disarray. We know that anyway. So I don't know.
Well, considering what's happened in recent times for them financially, why put yourself with your eyes open into a similar situation 5-10 years down the line?
I don't know.
I think it's 170, 180 million. I think they sort of cash that's been injected, but you can't just suddenly blow that now.
And if you're going to get not much over the course of the next two or 3 years.
And if you're looking at Rafinha, if you're looking at Lewandowski, and if you're looking at who else you want to bring in, I just don't know. But going back to Ronaldo, I still think he does something that very few people can. And guaranteed, and that is stick the ball in the back of the net.
But Manchester United need to get something done, don't they? I mean, if you end up losing Ronaldo, you don't get Frankie de Jong. You've signed Malacia, the left back, but let's be completely clear, that's not the headline-grabbing signing that Erik ten Hag was looking at. Maybe, actually, it's a good thing that there isn't headline-grabbing signings, and actually he's building a team rather than building players.
Yeah, but if you're going
shirts.
for someone who you did want, as in de Jong, and you don't get, that's not good. That's really not good for Manchester United. I know he wants to dip back into Ajax as well and bring a couple of players over. They would be, I think, because he knows what they can do.
Despite the fact that Louis van Gaal is doing his level best to try and disrupt any Dutch player from going to Manchester United.
Well, why?
Because he's the former manager and he's the manager now of the Dutch national team, and he's saying if you want to go and develop and make sure you're in great tip-top form before the World Cup, don't go there. Because they care more about commerciality than they do football. I mean, that's what he's saying.
Well, that's what he's experienced, but I do think that's what they're trying to get away from.
Yeah,
and
so do I.
We talk about those big signings, and Pogba going, and I sort of defended him as long as I possibly could. And it's like, no, do you know what? This guy's just got to go. He's not good for Manchester United in the sense that he's not going to take United further forward. So these big name signings, forget that. I think I was reading something in the paper about forget your attitude, forget your wages. It's all about what you do on the training pitch. Pass forwards, not sideways. I think Ten Hag is the right man for United. It'd be interesting to see once he's been in the hot seat for a couple of months how he deals with the media, how he deals with the pressure, how he deals with the egos as well. But if you're trying to get a Frankie de Jong and you don't get him, that's not a Paul Pogba social media signing. Pogba's obviously more than that, but de Jong is a proper football signing. And if it's not able to get that over the line, that doesn't look good for United.
No, it doesn't. And that is something that they do need to rectify, because otherwise they're going to be in a situation where they're falling further behind this year. That's going to be hard.
Then you're also chasing signings. Pre-season's already started.
I was going to say to you about that. How important is it for Manchester United to get some of these players in? At least, half the players that they're going to bring in this summer, and they probably need to bring in 6.